Welcome, councillors, to this extraordinary meeting of Council. This is a public meeting being streamed live to YouTube and via the Council's website. The meeting is also being recorded for the purposes of the minutes. I have been advised that the live stream is now up and running. If for any reason the public can no longer hear or see the meeting over the live stream, we will adjourn until the connection has been re-established. Can I ask the Governance Manager to explain the procedure for the meeting and to confirm the members and officers present? Thank you.
Chair. As per our virtual meeting etiquette, please can all members keep their cameras turned on and their microphones muted. Please observe the Council procedure rules as amended and speak through the Chair when invited to do so. Today's meeting is being recorded. I'm going to start that recording now and you'll hear a short announcement.
This meeting is being recorded.
All the discussions that will take place today will be held in public session. If you've got any connection issues, please contact myself or Martin Derbyshire to help you to resolve this. The voting today will be done by roll call and will be undertaken in reverse order. So in the meeting today in the chamber, we have the Chair and Vice Chair of Council, that's Councillor Pat Ancliffe and Councillor Martin Thacker MBE, and Sarah Sternberg, the Solicitor of the Council and Monitoring Officer. The remainder of the attendees are joining virtually, and we have all bar one member of Council with us on the call. The Council's 3 directors are joining remotely, as is the Section 151 officer and members of the governance team. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any apologies?
Chair, none have been submitted before the meeting. However, Councillor P. Wright is not on this call.
Chair, I believe Councillor Philip Wright should be attending this meeting. He was at the pre-meeting only half an hour ago. So can we ask that ICT make contact with him and try and get him online, please?
Through you, Chair, I'll make sure that happens.
Thank you.
Thank you. Declarations of interest. Members of interest should have declared them to the Governance Manager in advance of the meeting. However, I will ask again, can members please indicate if they have any interest to declare?
No declarations have been made in advance of the meeting.
I was just waving there, Chair. It's Councillor Barry Lewis, just to highlight a personal interest as leader of Derbyshire County Council, and we're talking about Vision Derbyshire in this. That's all.
Thank you. As Chair of Council, I have received a request for this meeting to be called in accordance with Part 4, Paragraph 3.1 of the Constitution. I now invite Councillor Barker as the lead signatory to introduce the motion to be put. Councillor Barker, as per the rules of debate, you have 10 minutes.
Right, thank you, Chair. Am I on?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Just before I start, I just want to make it clear that obviously this debate or resolution is about the conflict of interest that people holding leadership positions at 2 authorities is the main thing here, and it's not a personal attack on the leader or anything like that. I would also like to acknowledge that things have moved on somewhat since we first submitted the motion, and but I do believe, or we believe, that the main reason for the motion is still valid, and they are twofold. Firstly, to highlight the clear conflicts of interest, not just on this issue, but possibly others going forward, when the same person is the leader of a district council and the cabinet member of another related authority. Secondly, we wanted to unequivocally put on record the council's full commitment to the 2-tier system that has served us so well during this crisis and for a long time. Whilst we welcome the fact that the leader has signed the letter to the Secretary of State that was circulated last week, which was coincidentally well after the motion before us was published, and we fully support the sentiments in that letter. especially the paragraph that states that at the time of a national crisis, we believe the priority must be to focus our efforts on supporting residents, businesses and the community now that the second wave of the COVID pandemic is on us. But having read that letter, I can't help but refer back to the County Council meeting on the 16th of September, where officers of the county were, and I quote, mandated to prepare an alternative route for the devolution in the form of developing a case for a single unitary model of local government. It was also agreed at that meeting to approve the submission of a letter from the leader to the Secretary of State to request an invitation to submit a proposal for a single tier of local government in the county. This resolution was voted through by the leader and 2 other members of this district council. And just as an aside, can I ask, given the sentiments in the letter that was signed last week, have the officers at the county been told to stop working on that unitary model? My guess is probably not. So you can see where the confusion and scepticism has come from. And basically the question is, which horse will the leader be riding when any strategic decisions have to be made about the future local government in Derbyshire? We and the people of North East Derbyshire need to know that the person leading the council is totally committed to it and not half and half. We believe that the 2 roles that Councillor Dale personally hold are incompatible, hence the meeting today and the motion presented. I would therefore like to move the motion in front of you. I believe the main issue today is whether you consider that a member of the cabinet at the county council can also be leader of a district council. I'd argue that these roles could create a conflict of interest, and as such, the leader's role is untenable. I therefore ask you to support the motion as it stands. I just need a little bit of guidance now. Do I need to read out fully the motion as it stands, or can we take it as read? And is there any way of putting it on screen for anybody that might be watching, or do I need to read it out fully, Chair?
We'll see if we can put it on screen. Hopefully we can for the vote, but you don't need to read it out at this stage, but we'll make sure everybody is fully aware before the vote comes.
Thank you, Sarah. That will save me a big job. So I think everybody's aware what was submitted. So yeah, I'll move that as it stands, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
Yes, Chair. Councillor Barry will be seconding this motion, and I'd like to comment on it as we move forward. I'll take my opportunity now. I'd like to start by ensuring members of the council that this motion was not put forward for political gain, but out of concern for the staff and the council. We feel that the leader of the council has his fingers in too many pies. And we feel the leader's roles are conflicting, and therefore we question whether he can run this council. We need a leader who is committed to preserving this council in its entirety, a leader who is committed to the staff who work for our council, and one who will categorically state that this council is not going to make any job cuts. A leader who will consult with staff and the trade unions on all aspects of the council's future, including any such plans around Vision Derbyshire or unitary authorities. The leader has signed a joint letter in support of Vision Derbyshire, but to ensure the success of Vision Derbyshire, you need the buy-in of all the council leaders. What will happen if just 1 or 2 decide that they do not wish to continue? We would like the leader to advise us of what the consequences may be should this happen, and how will he, as leader of the council, respond? Staff are filled with stress and anxiety as they do not know what the leader's plans are for their future. What does Vision Derbyshire mean for them? Has the leader spoken to the staff? All this is adding to the pressures they are already under due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Staff are used to working in partnership, but they know that partnership working means changes. So will the leader confirm, again, that there will be no job losses if Vision Derbyshire goes ahead? And I second the motion.
Are there any other speakers?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor John Fennell was indicating his wish to speak, Chair.
Councillor Padell.
Is that me?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Just short comments, really, re-emphasising what's already been said, but a little bit of history. In March this year, the government announced that COVID-19 had arrived and introduced a number of measures to help and control the virus. North East Derbyshire responded to this challenge and quickly established the helpline, prescription collection, hamper delivery, and distributed the small grant and medium grants to local businesses, which I know helped them quite a lot. Almost daily updates were provided by the council, and North East Derbyshire was recognised as a national level for being proactive and quick to react to the challenges the area faced. Then, for some reason which I didn't fully understand, the Conservative Party decided to change leader. At this time, the new leader said, and I quote, "I'm determined that we will also be a listening council, engaging with our communities in a meaningful way at every opportunity to ensure that the decisions we take represent the needs of those we have been elected to serve." Then on the 16th of December, the picture became a little more confusing when at county council level, members passed a resolution there, and I quote again, "for the leader of the council," that's Derbyshire County Council, "to write to the Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government, requesting an invitation to submit a proposal for a single tier of local government for the county." A number of North East Derbyshire district councillors supported this resolution, including the council leader. But what does that mean for North East Derbyshire if it goes ahead? Well, a single tier means no district councillors. This group wouldn't exist anymore. The district would lose some of its assets and facilities, including land and buildings. And the obvious reorganisation and rationalisation would involve significant job losses. I believe there'd also be a lack of investment in the area. And I've no idea what would happen to Ricknell Homes. But most importantly, it would mean the loss of involvement and control of local issues by local residents.
I don't know whether they can see me or not, but I'm into it, yeah.
Which cannot be right. Hello?
Oh, yes.
Sorry,
I
I was
can
put
hear
down for
you.
a second then. Yeah, most importantly, a single tier would mean loss of involvement of the local community and local residents, which I cannot agree with. I was elected to represent the people of North East Derbyshire. And before I decide which way to vote on today's resolution, I would like to ask the leader, the current leader, to explain his position and demonstrate his support for North East Derbyshire District residents and employees by withdrawing his support at county level for any single tier structure proposals. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Kenyon.
Thank you, Chair. Hello, everyone. Is that all right? Is it coming through?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, I'm a businessman first, not really a politician. So I have to say these meetings don't thrill me. And I have seen a lot of bricks thrown in all directions in this chamber. And I hope that for the rest of the debate, as it started, we will keep focusing on what the topic is and how we can address it. In this case, it's unitarisation and leadership and conflict of interest. First, I believe unitarisation is wrong for North East Derbyshire, and I've yet to hear a strong case to suggest otherwise. Potential financial savings are cited, but my business experience has taught me that bigger is often not better because you lose flexibility, creativity and responsiveness. And in local government, you also lose accountability. So I'm really reassured to hear from many discussions and indeed this motion that that is the view among our councillors from all parties. But we live in an environment where other organisations have different views, namely Derby City, and we cannot just ignore that. Our leader has a powerful county role as well as leading our council. The question is how he uses that role. And make no mistake, the county council don't want unitarisation. That view has been long held and is why Vision Derbyshire has been pursued by county, and indeed the motion referenced in this motion that county submitted does make clear that the Vision Derbyshire approach is the preferred one. So we as a district council and our leader in his county role, we can't take our bats home. To get what we want requires engaging with the problem in a tactical way that will be listened to. And some would say that this might put our leader in a conflicted position. I believe the opposite. It puts him in a powerful position to get the outcome our residents want. I also know our leader takes very seriously his duty to lead, but not to control. And they are very different things, especially in the council. And I'm sure all those who have led councils will agree with that. Since becoming leader, Councillor Dale has demonstrated this in our cabinet meetings, in our approach to leading, and indeed in the other roles I've observed him in over the years. So I wish this motion was different, and I wish it had not mixed up unitarisation with leadership and so on, so I could support it. As it stands, I cannot. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Barrow-Lewis.
Thank you, Chairman. First of all, can I congratulate Councillor Barker on his magnificent hypocrisy, both as a county councillor and a district councillor on this authority, first of all. And secondly, I'd like to say that this is an absolutely shambolic waste of time and council resources when they're needed elsewhere, particularly at this moment in time. And we've got all these councillors sitting on the screen here, just filling time because of a Labour motion that is not needed and is utterly pointless, and a motion which is completely designed to whip up anxiety, particularly among staff here at North East Derbyshire District Council. I set out quite a clear agenda with the Vision Derbyshire work, and that is to work hand in glove with districts and boroughs right across Derbyshire, and even with the city, and primarily to get towards an East Midlands devolution deal. And in working to do that, it's entirely right that the leader of this authority, particularly because there was an application or a letter written by Derby City Council, that the leader of this council looks at and thinks about and talks to us as a county council and yourselves as district councillors, and look at voting and protecting the interests of Derbyshire, of North East Derbyshire District Council, which is entirely what Councillor Dale did in voting in the way he did. I think we can all see that right across the local government sector, change is happening. And the 3 devolution deals which were invited last week indicate that. And Vision Derbyshire very much, as part of what we're doing here in Derbyshire, North East Derbyshire, demonstrates a very different and clear way of working, which is one that works in harmony with districts and boroughs. So I won't be supporting Councillor Barker's motion, of course. And I'd just like to say, when it comes to this point around the conflict of interest, of course there is. There are plenty of other local authorities right across the country that have dual hatters on cabinets and in leadership roles right across the piece. We have 2 here in Derbyshire. So just to be clear on that. And it seems that Councillor Barker and his colleagues don't understand the 2-tier system and don't even seem to understand how politics works if they think this is a way of wasting people's time. It's taking us anywhere near in a forward direction. I'm afraid you're very wrong. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Oscar Gomez-Reina.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I also find this motion totally hypocritical. In July's full council meeting, Councillor Barker said that it wasn't the right time for change in leadership. And in the full council meeting in September, it was saying that there wasn't enough cross-party working. So this does seem to be totally political. We're now seeing a second wave of COVID-19 cases, and we're seeing a high number of cases in our area. And I think that what residents need for their council and the councillors be ready to help them and not be wasting council time with political stunts like this.
Thank you. Councillor Tracy Reader.
Thank you, Chair. Just to sort of note that I don't believe that this is a waste of council time at all. I think it's really important that our residents are fully aware of what's going on, and this is going on right now, and I don't believe that it should just disappear under the COVID-19 cloud. So the points that I want to sort of try and make sure that I make today is on behalf of the residents, and it is to try and get clarity from Councillor Dale, so that when we do come to the vote, that we are making an informed vote and an informed decision. I think the residents of North East Derbyshire deserve to have a council that will place them at the heart of all the decisions made about them. I believe we've been chronically underfunded by the local government, by central government for a very long time. And I think that the public do contribute heavily to the services, and they appreciate having services that are delivered to them locally. For instance, their bin collections, things like that. And I think they've appreciated all that was going on throughout the coronavirus pandemic. We saw lots of evidence of cross-party working before the change of leadership, which was going very, very well. And we were fully kept up to date and informed with regards to what was happening. And I echo a lot of what Councillor Fennell said in the beginning when he opened with his comments. Now there seems to be a level of uncertainty, and I know that Councillor Dale has signed the letter agreeing with the Vision Derbyshire strategy, and it does state that now's not the time for restructuring local government. However, I'm also mindful that government's reasoning for suggesting sort of unitary authority models is to save money. And we've been through a COVID-19 pandemic, which has come at a significant cost to local authorities. So we can't ignore that that is in the background and going on. So I am mindful that Councillor Dale signed that letter, but I'm also mindful that we've got a big financial issue that's probably waiting around the corner. Okay, it is possible that that government won't give district councils and borough councils any option other to become a unitary authority in the future, and they might reject the proposal with regards to Vision Derbyshire. We don't know what the outcome will be with regards to that. So my questions to Councillor Dale would be is, if this was to happen and they did reject that proposal, how would you seek to protect those services and those locally delivered services and seek to keep that democracy closer to local people on the ground, so that they do appreciate having that local connection to their councillors? I know I've certainly seen that in my community, you know, when I've spoken to people. And how do you propose to engage with the people of North East Derbyshire? And if it was their wish that they wouldn't want to pursue anything, you know, around joining a unitary authority, Councillor Dale, how would you, you know, respect the wishes of North East Derbyshire people if they didn't want to go down that route? And that would be my question.
Thank you. Councillor Cupet.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I think that I'm disappointed by this motion that's been presented, and I've listened to both sides, but I'm also remaining disappointed by the very fact of this extraordinary meeting. I echo the comments of previous Conservative members, particularly with regards to Councillor Kenyon in relation to unitarisation. In particular, Councillor Dale has my full support as leader of this council, and I don't consider there to be any conflict or issue. Alongside Councillor Dale being an experienced councillor, more than able to balance different issues, but always acting in the best interests of this district, as I think is what we're always all trying to do, I would make the point that we all have potential conflicts, and it's about using your judgment and experience. Just for myself as a cabinet member, but also as a ward member and a parish councillor, there's always the potential for conflicts. And indeed, that was one of the first training sessions I think we all had as councillors. And you have to continue to use your judgment to do the best for residents and for the district as a whole. And I see no reason why Councillor Dale cannot or is not doing that. As a second point, I also want to place on record my disappointment that this meeting has been called today. All councillors, as we said, are here today with the associated loss of officer and governance time and focus, specifically at a time when we're facing real challenges. Businesses and residents are trying to get through COVID-19 and cases are rising again. And so I think this motion, at a time of this global crisis, but almost specifically at the same time as the Prime Minister is about to speak on the national situation, is quite a political misjudgment. I don't see why we had to be here today rather than just discussing this issue at another full council meeting in the future. At its core, what I think this motion is trying to do is undemocratic. The Conservative group received a clear mandate from residents in this district to form an administration, to run the district council and to deliver positive change. Councillor Barker has acknowledged this previously in this chamber many times, and over the last year we've been delivering that positive change. Even just over the last few months, we've been delivering for residents across the district by safely reopening leisure services, progressing the Claycross Town Deal bid, securing an immediate 500,000 investment in Claycross to kickstart that, successfully bidding for and implementing a multi-million-pound green home scheme, an investment in at least 115 Ricknold properties. And just from my portfolio, as we discussed at the last meeting, we've approved a major investment and restructure of our planning and enforcement services. And as we've already mentioned today, Environmental Health and Street Scene have been supporting communities by keeping services running and also directly supporting businesses with adapting to the restrictions of COVID. Councillor Dale, as leader, and the Conservatives as an administration, therefore, are delivering for residents and improving our area at an unprecedented and challenging time locally and globally. And so I reiterate my disappointment that we're here today, and I will not be supporting this motion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Dale.
Thank you, Chair. I'm conscious just before I start that quite a lot of people have raised questions here, and I'd quite like to be able to respond to all of them. So I'm happy to speak at a later stage if there are any other speakers who wish to go before me.
I've had my hand up for a while.
Ask any questions.
Chair. Can you see me, Chair?
Sorry, Councillor Foster.
Yeah, thanks for that. I've had my hand up for a while, I think, before the leader. If I can come in, Chair, thank you. Yeah, I do really, I've got to say, almost resent being here today and having my time wasted here today. It's nothing I've come not to expect from Labour at all. What I was looking forward to, though, is having this motion read out, because it's a ridiculous motion, it's hypocritical, and I really wanted to hear it and let the rest of the councillors hear it, and any public listening to this, and have it on the record to hear how ridiculous this sounds. So it's nothing I've heard before from Labour. In my experience, I've always equated Labour politics, waste, extra costs, and general incompetence. And here, this is no different whatsoever. It's student politics, and any public watching here, if they looked at that motion and then later on they see how we all vote and we vote down party lines, they'll see that this was just a political stunt. All our time's been wasted here. Now, much like Councillor Fennell said earlier, I've been elected to represent residents and support the work of the council, and this is none of that. You're just wasting my time here, and you're wasting the time of other Conservative councillors. Maybe not of Labour councillors, if you've got nothing else to do, but you're certainly wasting the time of other Conservative councillors, and that's the case. What I'd like to know from the officers, if we can put this to the officers and find out later, what is the actual cost of this meeting? Officers' time and resources. I'd like to know the costs, and I'd like to be told later on, and later on we can tell Labour, again, how much they wasted, how much council funds they wasted in putting this ridiculous motion forward. And while we're talking, some of the language I've heard today, I know it might sound like I'm a bit cross, but when you look at some of the language we've heard from Labour, talk about what I've written down here, riding too many horses, fingers in too many pies. Now, while we're using that sort of language, I can use the same sort of language. Question I've got for Labour, and you can come back to me on this, Councillor Barker, how many fag packets did you need to write this motion on? Or how many beer mats did you have to split to write this on? That's what I'd like to know. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Dale.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try my very best to respond to the questions that we've had and try and explain.
Chair, I did have my hand up. I don't know if Councillor Alex Dale would let me. It's just one comment, but I did have my hand up before he started to speak.
I'm happy to give way.
I'm sorry. Councillor Angelique Foster.
Yeah, it was just to say, just to point out, and I'm glad further along when all the councillors spoke on this, the word was used, but I just wanted to point out that neither Councillor Barker, or Councillor Barry did mention the crucial words when they were introducing their motion, which is the interests of residents. Unless I've missed it, but I didn't pick it up from their introduction. There was a word councillor mentioned, so the interest of councillors, I suspect that was meant. There was the word trade unions, so I suspect they meant the interest of trade unions should be considered, and the interest of staff, which we all agree that staff members are really crucial to our organisation. But the crucial word that's not been used is residents. So the interest of residents is what is at stake here. And from my experience, that's always been at the core of this administration ambition and commitment to how they lead the district council. And I'm quite happy to support the current leader, Councillor Alex Dale, because from my experience, that's also at the core of every decision that he makes when he makes decision at cabinet, at Derbyshire County Council, or as a leader of the district council. So let's not forget that the residents of North East Derbyshire are the residents of Derbyshire. So it's the same residents' interests that we are considering here, and it's for them that we are here. We're not here to represent ourselves as councillors of a ward. We're here to represent the interests of residents. And it's just unfortunate that Councillor Barker and Councillor Barry both omitted that from their introduction. Thank you.
Councillor Dale.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, as I was saying, I'm going to try and address some of the questions that have been asked of me directly, and apologies if I missed some. I think I'd start by following on from what Councillor Barker and Councillor Funnell said. They both quoted the county paper, the county council's paper around the proposal for unitarisation, but they didn't quote it in full. It says very clearly in the very same paragraph that is to happen if Vision Derbyshire is not successful in achieving the government's aim. So it makes very, very clear that Vision Derbyshire is the county council's preferred approach, and actually the model for a whole county unitary is only a plan B. And I would argue, and as I will come on to argue, that was only in reaction to Derby City's proposal. We live in the real world here, and different organisations have different views on these matters. I view the DCC decision in response to what Derby City Council put forward, which was a single unitary authority in the southern half of the county. Now that would clearly have massive implications on us. It would force us in the north into a single unitary authority as well. So it would lead to the end of North East Derbyshire District Council. It would lead to the end of Derbyshire County Council. And if the government was seriously entertaining Derby City's proposals, surely it's better, I start from the position, it's better to have all options on the table and allow the public to have their say over this sort of an issue. So if the government was entertaining Derby City's proposals or was forcing unitarisation on us, then I would far rather have a situation where we have all options on the table and the public can decide. The other key aspect of this is the white paper still hasn't been announced yet. We don't know the degree to which this is going to be by local choice or whether it will be forced. So I think it's very difficult to assess what's actually really happening here. And I see it as that effectively it's a play by Derby City Council and a counter play by Derbyshire County Council. It's understandable that those two organisations would be reticent about any other proposals to sort of carve them up. At the time of the county council vote, I made absolutely clear at the time that I did so without prejudice. I made clear that the district council had not had an opportunity to discuss this or consider this. It's all come very quickly and out of the blue. And I made very, very clear, you can watch back the live stream of the video if you really want to, but I made very, very clear that the district, I reserve the right for the district to take a different position, and that is the position that I would adopt. As I say, the white paper wasn't out at the time. There's a vacuum of information around devolution and unitarisation at the minute. We don't know the extent to which it will be forced or we have any choice in the matter. And the fundamental point I would add is that the vote at Derbyshire County Council was non-binding. It says very clearly in the recommendations that it's a non-binding vote. So I still had that opportunity to take a different position anyway. Councillor Barker refers to can a cabinet member leave this council? Well, I'd actually argue that we're all dual hatters. Councillor Barker himself is chair of North Wingfield Parish Council. What happens when a decision puts him at conflict between those two organisations? How does he handle that? We all have to balance different competing interests in our roles as councillors. We're all local members as well as having roles as leaders or chairs of committees or cabinet members. So there are always cases where we have to balance that position. And the same is true of Councillor Fennell as well. Councillor Barry asked if how we've been consulting with staff, and actually I would say that as a new leader of the council, that's one of the things that I've really got off very quickly in doing. We've had a number of coffee mornings with staff to meet them, to talk to them, to engage with them. We've had meetings with the unions. We've been down to the street scene twice to go out with staff and talk to them and really find out what their views are on all of these sorts of issues. Not a single one, I would add, has actually raised the issue of unitarisation or Vision Derbyshire yet with me. I'm always happy to talk to staff about it, though. I also find it strange that Councillor Barry is asking me to say that there will be no job cuts with Vision Derbyshire, and yet Labour have put a ringing endorsement for Vision Derbyshire in this motion. Surely, if she was concerned about job cuts, she wouldn't put forward a motion that says the council should pursue Vision Derbyshire. It's a bit of a bizarre situation, if you ask me. I don't really understand why you would put all your support behind Vision Derbyshire and then ask me whether there's going to be any job cuts as a result. It's very strange. I think Councillor Fennell and Councillor Reader sort of criticised the lack of cross-party working. I think you have to accept I've only been in the job for 3 months, and the first of those months was the summer recess, where councillors, generally speaking, haven't met very often.
30 seconds left.
Say again, sorry, Chair. I think you were saying a few seconds left.
30 seconds left, Alex.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I have started the cross-party Viper meetings, and I intend to fully pursue those moving forward. And in answer to there's a sort of final question around would I withdraw my support or vote a different way at county? I've already made clear the initial vote at county was non-binding to enable the district to have its position. And I would, of course, take the district's position. We have had that letter. I've consulted my group. I've consulted the leaders of the opposition groups. And we have all almost unanimously made clear our view is that Vision Derbyshire is our preferred approach. And our plan B is that we would resist unitarisation because now is not the time for structural reform. The motion is completely unnecessary. It's a waste of time, in my opinion, and it is quite political. I accept Nigel's comments that he wouldn't wish it to be seen as being political or personal, but it does feel very much like you can't ask for cross-party working.
Sorry, your time's up, Alex.
It's not at all. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Morley. Councillor Morley. Hello.
Councillor Morley, you're muted.
Chair, I think it's just he's got his hand across his camera. I don't think he's wanting to put his hand up.
Right, thank you. Councillor Hill.
Chair, Councillor David Hancock's indicating his wish to speak.
Chair, I will let Councillor Hancock come in.
Thank you. Councillor Hancock.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Hill. So, Councillor Dale, I specifically wanted to hear what he was saying to actually get his position on this. In my opinion, is that unitaries are bad. I mean, they claim to save money, although the evidence suggests that that claim is questionable. But they come at the huge cost of local democracy and local decision making, and they irreparably damage our local communities as a result. One of my key concerns is planning. As a planning authority, we have the ability to shape the development within our district. In the hands of a much larger authority, the defence offered by those district boundaries will be gone. Wingerworth, Tupton, Claycross will be swallowed as Chesterfield expands. Shirland will be swept away by Alfreton, so that historic countryside will be gone forever. And when there's nowhere left to go further south, the Northern Greenbelt will become fair game. And anyone pretending that Dronfield or Killamarsh will be safe from Chesterfield's urban sprawl is lying to themselves. I've known Councillor Dale for several years now. On occasion, I've agreed with his positions. More often than not, I haven't. I don't particularly like him personally, but I've always respected the fact that he has always been one to pin his colours to the mast and stand firmly behind his beliefs. And I absolutely respect that. But I'm struggling right now to understand his current position. I know he's explained that, but at the minute it just seems to me that we're flipping between one side and the other. And instead of the firm, confident and stark response that I would have expected from him as leader of this council, the letter that he's distributed is, and I'll censor myself here, it's weaker than runs water. It's nothing more than a half-hearted attempt at pacifying while he strives to navigate the opposing viewpoints. I disagree with some of the members here. There is a huge conflict of interest at play, and I'm afraid on that basis, he is not an appropriate leader for this council. That's not personal, it is that conflict of interest. North East Derbyshire needs a leader who will serve this council, not be someone who's playing puppet to Matlock, and for that reason, I unreservedly support the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Hill.
Yes, Chair, I wasn't aware I'd indicated that I wanted to speak, but now you've brought me in, I will just say a couple of comments, and they aim to Councillor Mark Foster. Councillor Foster, in 24 years on this council, I have never made a decision on the back of a fag packet or a beer mat, and I find your comments very, very insulting. Not just to me, but to other members, that we do care about our residents, we do care about our communities, and I think it's disgusting that you try to lower us to that sort of position.
Councillor Tate.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like this to go to a recorded vote, please.
Yeah.
Just so that the residents are aware of who's voting, and I'd like to second the request to see how much this meeting has cost us as a council. So again, people can recognise where the money's being spent. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any? Oh, Councillor Welton.
Yeah, second the call for a recorded vote, please. Do we need a third?
Yeah, Chair.
Happy to third that.
Happy to third.
Thank you. It's recorded vote. Any other councillors wishing to speak? Councillor Barker, would you like to speak?
Sorry, Chair, you have a number of members that are indicating to speak. You have Councillor Ross Shipman and Councillor Richard Welton also indicating, and Councillor Joe Birkin.
Mine was just for the recorded vote, so to take mine off, it was for the recorded vote.
Thank you. Councillor Shipman.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to echo Councillor Hill's comments about Councillor Foster saying that it seems to me that whenever Councillor Foster disagrees with somebody, it's always school ground politics rather than actually accepting that we have differing views, which is the grown-up thing to do when you're in a debate. But I would also like to point out that once again, certain councillors are missing the point of Councillor Dale's position. It's not the fact that he sits on two authorities, it's the fact that he is juggling two opposing views. One authority, which he is in the cabinet of, is pursuing one way. The other authority, which he is leading, and obviously in the cabinet of, is trying to, he's got opposing views, and that's what, and with those opposing views, which is the way it's going to have to sign up to one of them. He won't tell you which one that is right now. He seems to be wanting to wait until this council votes, rather than actually spin his position like he should be doing. That's what he should be doing. And being leader isn't about
making
forcing
it up and talking rubbish.
Can I finish, Chair, or is any more Conservatives
Please
want to come in?
do. So we have no more interruptions while the speaker. Thank you.
Being a leader isn't about forcing your views on other people, but it's about listening to other councillors, especially on this authority, and accepting their views and trying to come up with a compromising position so you get the buying of the council. Time and time again, we see Councillor Dale failing to listen to people. He's just wanting to force through his own ideas. He has total disregard for any constructive criticism, as we're seeing in this meeting today. And he's showing no signs that he'll back this council when push comes to shove. I'm not going to repeat the fact that it is untenable, because that's been said many a time by other councils. But I want to focus on the fact that he says one thing and he does another. That's the problem for me. He won't talk about the job losses that will come off the back of a unitary authority. Vision Derbyshire is basically a Trojan horse to abolishing this authority, because what it does is it reduces services, reduces staff, reduces the funding that we'll get, and that in itself will lead to a unitary. That's exactly what's happening in Northampton. You strip all the services out, you strip the staff out, and you end up with a unitary authority through the back door. And he won't be honest with you about that. And I think it's about time he was honest about what he actually believes in. Does he believe in the unitary, or does he believe in this district council standing on its own 2 feet? Councillor Dale sat here just a few months ago when he'd thrown his, and I quote, his friend under the bus by getting rid of him as leader. I voted against that at the time because I didn't think we should have been switching leader for one. And I certainly didn't want it to be switched to the leader we ended up with, because his record speaks for itself, not just at this authority, but at the county as well. And I don't think he's the right councillor for this authority. And he's touched on it today. The letter that's recently gone out regarding Vision Derbyshire, he says he consulted with all the other leaders. It was more of an ask and ignore as far as I was concerned, because I fed back that I didn't think the unitary was a good idea. I fed back that I believed Vision Derbyshire in itself would lead to job losses and reducing services. And the way he paints the picture to the rest of the council was as though all group leaders agreed and that we all signed up to it as though everything was hunky-dory, which is not true. He knows it's not true, which is why he tripped himself up early, because he changed it from all group leaders to nearly all group leaders agreed to it. And that's the problem. If you read the email he sent out, it was like all group leaders agreed to his proposals. The other concern I have, which is a major one, and Councillor Hancock touched on it, is the concerns about the white paper that's coming through on planning. It's another example where Councillor Dale wants to take away democratic accountability from local people. If that white paper is passed, residents in this district will have less say over planning applications at the time in which the applications are put in. So that being said, I have lost all confidence that Councillor Dale will ever put this authority at the front of his mind when he's sitting on other authorities and when there's political pressure from his own party. I'll be voting for this motion, and I hope the rest of my colleagues sat on this council will too. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Birkin.
Thank you, Chair. It's a matter of personal explanation in relation to, I believe my speech earlier was misunderstood by Councillor. I would like to clarify that matter.
Chair, point of order, you've just asked me to speak.
Yes, I was going to listen to Councillor Birkin first and then to bring you back, Alex.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I have to say that I'm disappointed with some of the comments from our Conservative colleagues. I don't think this is wasting time at all, as Councillor Foster said, and it's certainly not undemocratic. It's democratic to be able to consider and discuss and debate issues which are important to the residents, to the staff, and to the councillors of this district council. That's what democracy is about. I've just seen a chat line saying by two of your colleagues, Councillor Dale, that this debate is excruciating. It's not excruciating. It's important to know how people feel, so that they know how this district council is being led and which direction it's being led in. You did not mention, the speakers before did not mention that you had supported and given instruction to officers to work towards unitary status from the county council. That's not choosing to decide your views on a later date and a later state. That's, you've made up your mind. It's done and dusted. I agree with Councillor Cupit that we all have two hats to wear, which could be defined as conflict. The thing is, when an issue comes up, it's what you do about that that's important. And the important thing, what I've been told over many years in parish councils and what have you, is that if there is a conflict of interest or a likely conflict of interest, then you should withdraw. You withdraw yourself from that so that you are not spoiling the issue for yourself, let alone anybody else. I believe it's important to lead for North East Derbyshire District Council, and I don't think in this sort of situation you can support the two conflicting ideas and attempt to ride both horses. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Dale, thank you. Councillor Dale, to make a point of explanation.
Thank you, Chair. I believe that Councillor Shipman has mistaken what I said during my speech. I did make pretty clear. I know that time was running out and I maybe tried to get it across too quickly, but I did make pretty clear that the position I've taken is that which is in the joint letter, which is signed by all of the 8 districts and boroughs. Vision Derbyshire is our preferred approach, but otherwise now is not the time for structural reform. There are too many other things happening at the moment. And I would always protect the position of the district council. Just in relation to what he said about consulting other groups, I asked all opposition group leaders, I said that I was going to consult my own group, which I have done, and I asked all of you to consult your groups and feedback to me and have engagement. Councillor Shipman, you did email me back, but I offered you a meeting after to discuss it in more detail. I didn't hear a dicky bird from you after that. I had a productive meeting with Councillor Fennell. I appreciate he's taken a different position, but that's fine. It was a useful meeting nonetheless. And I didn't hear anything back from Councillor Barker. So what views could I go on other than the views of my own group? And my own group endorsed the signing of that letter and endorsed that position wholeheartedly. So I don't think it needs any further clarity than that. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other councillors wishing to speak? No. Councillor Barker, a right to reply.
Oh, Councillor Tate was waving his hand. Does he want to go?
Sorry? Councillor Tate, sorry.
Thank you. Just to move to the vote, Chair. Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Can I just come back then?
Councillor Barker.
Just to sum it all up. Yeah, thanks. We started off quite well, I think, but there's been a couple of comments that I could take exception to, and I think Councillor Mark Foster, sorry, I think some of the language you used weren't very helpful. I can stand it. I've been called, people have said a lot worse to me, but I think there were a hidden flair in all that, and like I say, I could take exception to that. Angelique Foster, and I did refer to it because I said in my introduction, I think I've got it written here, about focusing on the residents, businesses, and communities in our thing within the letter that's signed. So I think there is there, and it's not been a waste of time. I think we have, like I said at the beginning, unequivocally, I think, come down on the side of this Vision Derbyshire. We have made it clear where this council stands. Whether that would have happened, this level of debate would have happened if we hadn't had this motion or brought this motion. I don't know. But I think there is a consensus now that we're not in favour of big unitary authorities, especially at this time. I don't, before moving on to the actual motion, I'd just pick on the points by Councillor Barry and Reader about reassuring all our staff and obviously communities and residents about our intentions going forward. And even if it is, you know, to fully support Vision Derbyshire, let's communicate that as well as we can. I do feel, to be honest, that it is a little bit too little and too late, you know, signing this paper, letter at the 11th hour that we're on the back of somebody else writing it and asking people to sign it. I'm personally, and it is personally convinced that there is a well-planned strategy on behalf of the County Council, Nottinghamshire and Leicestershire to create unitary authorities and then have an elected mayor. I think it's something that certain individuals have been working towards for a long while. So it's not been a new thing, all this. It has been in the background for a long while. Having said that, I do feel now the concept has been put on the back burner. Like you've said, the white paper's been deferred a bit. The COVID crisis has obviously took priority quite rightly. But I think it is something that might come back in the future. So I still go back to my original premise that we need a leader. And I know there's dual actors, and I know I expected that comment coming about me being a county councillor and everything else. But in the Labour Party, I could not be in the same position as Alex Dale. We cannot have lead positions in two authorities. So that's a rule within the Labour Party, which I think that's a good thing, because there is this conflict of interest. So we need a leader that's really committed to the safeguarding the future of North East Derbyshire District Council. And given that's the objective, I think, and with that in mind, I would ask everybody to vote with your conscience and not just on group loyalties, and vote in favour of the motion as it stands. So thank you, Chair. We'll move to the vote, as they say.
Thank you, Councillor Barker. We'll put the motion onto the screen. Thank you. And then we'll go to the vote. And I'll hand over to Nick. Thank you.
So, Chair and members, on your screens you should see the first part of the motion that's put forward today, that Council notes and supports the decision of all councils in Derbyshire to participate in the Vision Derbyshire initiative. Council supports the principle in Vision Derbyshire that a two-tier system of local government with councils working closely together is the preferred structural solution for delivering on the proposed white paper's agenda of reducing regional inequalities. Council notes the decision of Derbyshire County Council at its meeting on the 16th of September 2020 to write to the Secretary of State to submit a proposal for a single tier of local government for the county and to mandate its officers to prepare a case in support of a single unitary authority. Council believes that the creation of a unitary authority is not in the interests of North East Derbyshire residents and opposes the creation of a unitary authority. Council mandates officers within the council to prepare a case for the retention of NEDDC as part of a two-tier structure of local government. Council also notes that the leader of this council, in his role as a cabinet member at Derbyshire County Council, supported the proposal to create a unitary authority in Derbyshire. Council resolves to exercise its power pursuant to Article 5, paragraph 5.1(c)(4) to remove from office the current leader of the council and proceed to elect a new leader who will safeguard the future of NEDDC for the remaining term of this council in accordance with paragraph 5.1a. Are you happy for me to move to the recorded vote?
Yes, thank you.
So, members, I will read the names of members in alphabetical order, going backwards. If members could clearly indicate for, against, or abstain. Councillor P. Wright.
Against.
Councillor B. Wright.
For.
Councillor Pam Windley.
For.
Councillor Nick Whitehead.
Against.
Councillor Richard Welton.
Against.
Councillor Martin Thacker MBE. Councillor Martin Thacker MBE. Chair,
Against. 3 times.
Councillor Kevin Tate.
Against.
Councillor Lee Stone.
For.
Councillor Ross Shipman.
For.
Councillor Diana Ruff.
Against.
Councillor Kathy Rouse. Councillor Kathy Rouse.
For.
Councillor Rowe.
Against.
Councillor Ridgway.
For.
Councillor Rennick.
Against.
Councillor Reader.
For.
Councillor Powell.
Against.
Councillor Potts.
Against.
Councillor Pickering.
For.
Councillor Parkin.
Against.
Councillor Morley. Councillor Jerry Morley. I'm just going to ask you to unmute, Councillor Morley. Councillor Morley, are you unable to unmute your microphone? Chair, I believe that Councillor Moy is saying for. Councillor Lilly.
For. For.
Councillor Liggett.
Against.
Councillor Lewis.
Was that Lewis? If so, against.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis. Councillor Kerry.
For.
Councillor Kenyon.
That's the second against. Second time I've been asked.
Councillor Jones.
For.
Councillor Hutchinson.
Against.
Councillor Huckabee. Councillor Huckabee, I'm just going to ask you to unmute.
Against.
Councillor Holmes. Councillor Holmes.
For.
Councillor Hill.
For.
Councillor Hartshorn.
For.
Councillor Hancock.
For.
Councillor Hall.
Against.
Councillor Gomez Rini.
Against.
Councillor Fennell.
I'm going to abstain.
Councillor Foster, Mark Foster.
Against.
Councillor Angelique Foster.
Against.
Councillor Michelle Lemons.
Against.
Councillor Peter Elliott.
Against.
Councillor Lillian Dayton.
Against.
Councillor Alex Dale.
Against.
Councillor Charlotte Cupit.
Against.
Councillor Susie Cornwall.
For.
Councillor Cooper.
For.
Councillor Clough.
Against.
Councillor Bone, Pat Bone. Councillor Pat Bone.
Against.
Councillor Kevin Bone.
Against.
Councillor Joe Birkin.
For.
Councillor Jane Barry.
For.
Councillor Nigel Barker.
For.
Councillor William Armitage.
Against.
And Councillor Pat Ancliffe.
Against.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just consult with the team to confirm the vote. Chair, the result of the vote is 30 votes for, sorry, apologies, 30 votes against, 21 votes for, 1 abstention, and the motion falls.
Thank you.
Chair, can you repeat that, please?
Sorry.
Chair, would you like me to repeat the vote?
Yeah.
That's 21 votes for, 30 against, and 1 abstention.
I'm not sure that was what she said first of all. She said 31 for and 30 against.
Yeah, I got that.
Chair, my apologies. I'd written them in the wrong boxes here. So to confirm, the result, as confirmed with the monitoring officer and the team counting, is 21 votes for, 30 against, with 1 abstention, and the motion falls.
Thank you. Motion's been lost. And there is no further business to be discussed. Therefore, I close this meeting. The next meeting of council is scheduled for the 16th of November. Thank you.